Discover the amazing story of Isaura, a heartwarming love that transformed lives forever. Every morning before the sun bathes the world in golden light, Isaura rises with her heart pounding and dreams alive. The smell of fresh cinnamon rolls is not just a scent, it's the essence of her family, her legacy. The cozy little bakery left by her beloved parents stands at the corner of the vibrant neighborhood, a sweet sanctuary of community and culture, and it's all she has to create a better future for Matteo and Isabella. She kneads the dough as if she's kneading hope into every swirl, her heart beats in rhythm with the secrets of the recipes passed through generations. Each roll, each pastry tells a story that can heal the cracks in her neighborhood where dreams can sometimes feel elusive. As the annual neighborhood festival kicks off with laughter, vibrant colors, and mariachi music echoing through the streets, Isaura's heart dances with the festive spirit. Surrounded by friendly faces, she feels the warmth of her community clinging to her like a comforting embrace. Suddenly, a piercing blue gaze meets hers across the crowd. Jack, a warm-hearted Air Force veteran, has just returned, the kind of man whose laughter feels like a high note against the joyful chaos. They bond over steaming mugs of coffee, their dreams spilling out as they each share wishes for a better tomorrow. Jack understands the pulse of community. Isaura can see in his eyes a flicker of shared passion, a desire for family, love, and hope. Days turn to weeks, and as they walk together around the neighborhood, their bond strengthens over fleeting touches and shared dreams. Isaura starts to feel flutterings in her chest that remind her of the sweet butterflies she used to catch as a child. It feels like love. But just as the sweet notes of their romance fill the air, a heavier tune starts to form a troubling discord. Jack's ideas about modernizing the bakery challenge Isaura's traditional values that shaped her identity and upbringing. She wrestles with her loyalty to her family's legacy, and for the first time, the shadows of doubt begin to creep into her thoughts. Before Isaura can grasp how strong these beginnings feel, she's hit with the weight of reality. Gentrification threatens to swallow her bakery whole. Panic hurls through her veins as the dream of a brighter future for her children starts to dissipate like dawn mist. But amidst the fear, her community stands solid, rallying around her with love, ideas, and support to fight against the tides of change. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but then, a devastating misunderstanding arises between Isaura and Jack. What started as love quickly shifts to confusion fueled by fears, assumptions, and a lack of communication. Isaura, drowning in feelings of abandonment and the emotional weight of the bakery, stands alone in the empty store, chasing whispers of past laughter echoing through her memory. The bright colors outside blur into gray shadows, and the walls that once felt sturdy now threaten to crumble under the strain of her doubt. The thought of losing Jack stings more than the prospect of losing her bakery. Despair washes over her, pooling around her feet in a tide of uncertainty. Can she truly risk her heart when it feels so fragile? As she takes a deep, shaky breath, all she can think about is whether anyone can truly understand her struggle for love and dignity. Will she summon the courage to reach out, to embrace vulnerability, or will she let pride keep them apart? The clock ticks louder in the silence, while her heartbeats resonate with the same chaotic rhythm of life. The question remains, and the air hangs heavy with possibility. Isaura paced the quiet bakery, the familiar surroundings feeling alien in the wake of her heartache. The scent of cinnamon still lingered in the air, but it felt cloaked in sadness now. The vibrant laughter from the festival outside was mere background noise, a cheerful melody drowning her thoughts. She wanted that joy back, wanted to feel connected to Jack and the dreams they shared under the golden sun. Her hands moved unconsciously, dusting off counter space as if to erase the tension that settled deep within her. She could see the reflection of the bakery's window, and the images of children playing, couples dancing, and friends hugging pierced through her heart. That was her community, her heart. But doubt loomed, overshadowing the sweet memories. How could she balance her legacy with the fear of losing Jack? Just then, the door creaked open, allowing a gust of festival energy to swirl into the bakery. Mateo, her bright-eyed son, bounded in, his cheeks flushed from excitement. "Mom, you have to come. Everyone's south waiting for the parade to start." His eyes sparkled, unaware of the storm brewing in her heart. "Just give me a minute, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a smile. "They want to see you. And Jack." Mateo's voice held an urgency that made Isaura's heart skip. How could she face Jack when everything felt so tangled? But looking into her son's eager eyes, she was reminded of what truly mattered: family and community, the essence she had long fought to protect. "I'll be right there," she finally said, pulling on her apron and smoothing her hair, trying to shake off the heavy feelings weighing her down. As they made their way outside, the vibrant street unfolded before her. The parade had begun. Colorful floats danced, children ran with their hands held high, clapping and shouting cheers. She felt the smiles of her neighbors wash over her like a wave, but the tension in her gut tightened as she caught sight of Jack at the edge of the crowd, his own laughter mingling with the chatter of friends. What if he moved on? What if he didn't want to fight for her? She hesitated, her heart a battle of emotions, an array of hope and dread. "Mom! Look!" Mateo pointed at a float adorned with flowers and twinkling lights, but Isaura couldn't take her eyes off Jack. The way he threw his head back to laugh, so carefree yet so full of life, stirred something deep within her. The longing to reach out and bridge the chasm between them blossomed alongside her fears. Gathering her courage, she stepped closer. Just as she opened her mouth to call his name, her heart raced with uncertainty. How could she explain? Would he understand the weight of her legacy? Would their dreams intertwine again? In that moment of hesitation, Jack caught sight of her. His expression softened, and he stepped forward as if the crowd faded away. The music, the laughter, it all blurred into the background as they locked eyes. "What happened?" he asked, concern evident in his voice, making her feel seen and cherished. An unsteady breath escaped her. "Things just got complicated," he nodded, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a familiar blanket. "We can figure this out together." His words hung in the air, creating a fragile thread of hope between them. But just as hope stirred, a shout pierced through the joyous energy of the parade. An unexpected protest erupted, claiming that the festival would drive out local businesses. Isaura's bakery was at the center of it. Her stomach dropped as she turned to Jack, realization dawning upon her. In the midst of a festival celebrating community, their fight for belonging was far from over. Would they band together against the tides of change or lose everything in the chaos? The moment of truth was looming, and she could only hope that love was stronger than the fears entwined in the struggle ahead. Would they find a way to unite their visions before it was too late? The crowd began to buzz with anxious energy as the protesters raised their banners, their voices drowning out the festive music. Isaura's heart raced, panic threatening to take hold. She had poured her soul into the bakery, had fought to create a safe haven, and now it felt as if everything was crumbling around her. Jack stepped closer, determination in his eyes. "We can't let them scare us. We need to show them what this bakery means to our community." "But what if they don't care?" Isaura whispered, her voice trembling as doubts crept back in. "What if they just want to push us out?" "They care, Isaura. They love what you've built here," he replied softly, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Remember the faces that come through your doors. Remember the laughter and the warmth you bring. That doesn't just disappear because of a few angry voices." A flicker of hope ignited in her chest. Mateo, oblivious to the weight of the moment, tugged at her hand. "Mom, can we go? Everyone's marching. It'll be fun." Isaura glanced at her son, his excitement infectious and pure. His innocence reminded her of the importance of standing strong, not just for herself, but for him. She owed it to Mateo to fight, to demonstrate resilience in the face of adversity. Okay, let's join them, Isaura said, taking a deep breath and nodding at Jack. Let us show them what we're made of. They moved through the crowd, the air thick with tension. As they wove their way closer to the protest, the chants grew louder, filled with frustration and anger. The words cut through her like glass. They were right to be passionate about the changes to the festival, but she wanted them to see that they could coexist. Holding hands, Isaura, Jack, and Mateo stepped into the heart of the protest. As more of their neighbors recognized her, the shouts were replaced by murmurings of surprise and curiosity. I think this bakery is part of the heart of our community, one voice shouted out, an older woman who frequented Isaura's shop. We can't lose it. Encouraged, others joined in, shouting praises of her baked goods, her kindness, her role within the neighborhood. The tide began to shift. What started as a protest against the festival turned into an impassioned plea to protect the bakery that had brought them together. For the first time, Isaura felt the warmth of belonging wrap around her, empowering her to speak. She stepped forward, visibly shaking but fueled by the love surrounding her. I opened this bakery to create a space for all of you, a space for family, friendship, and community. It's not just a shop, it's a piece of all our lives. The crowd grew silent, every eye fixated on her. Her words hung in the air, raw and real. Together, we can celebrate our identities without tearing each other down. Let us fight for something that brings us joy, not fear. Cheers erupted around her. The energy shifted from one of conflict to solidarity. People began to chant her name, Isaura. Isaura. The support surged through her, lifting her spirit. They were standing united, and suddenly, everything felt a little lighter. Mateo squeezed her hand tighter. Jack stood by her side, his pride clear in his smile. But just as it seemed like hope was within reach, she spotted a group of angry protesters pushing through the throng, their faces twisted in disdain. What do we do? She whispered, fear creeping back into her heart. Was this celebration about to turn into chaos? Jack glanced at the approaching group, grit in his expression. We stand firm together. No matter what. With that, Isaura's heart swelled with a fierce determination. They wouldn't just stand for their bakery, they would stand for love, for understanding, and for community. But could they turn this moment around and keep it from spiraling? As the storm of hearts rose, the real battle was just beginning. Would they be able to transform anger into acceptance before it was too late? The crowd shifted restlessly as the group of angry protesters drew nearer. Isaura stood her ground, her small frame trembling with nerves but fortified by the warmth of her supporters flanking her. Jack's hand settled firmly on her back, a pillar of strength amidst the chaos. Stay calm, we can do this, Jack said, his voice steady and soothing. Can we? She wondered, doubt creeping back into her mind. A knot of tension pulled at her stomach as the angry faces of the oncoming group materialized, each one a direct challenge to everything she stood for. Then, just as the discontented voices rose up, echoing their disdain, one of the people from her side stepped forward. It was Laura, a mother from the neighborhood whose son loved coming to the bakery. She raised her hand, her expression resolute. Wait! Laura shouted, stopping the angry group in their tracks. We all want the same things. We want our community to thrive. But tearing each other apart isn't the answer. Isaura has created something special here. Why can't we build on that? A murmur of surprise swept through both sides. Isaura held her breath, heart hammering like a drum, and watched as many in the crowd turned to consider Laura's words. There was a moment, a fleeting breath in time where the chaos paused, and silence fell. We can lift each other up, Laura continued, her voice gaining confidence. When we march together, we can make this festival even better. We don't need to fight. We can create a community festival that brings everyone in. Suddenly, a familiar face emerged from the back of the angry group. It was Marcus, one of the festival organizers who had been a fixture of the community for years. He stepped forward with raised palms. Let us talk about this, please. This isn't just about one business, it's about our whole neighborhood. Isaura's heart started to beat in a new rhythm, a sense of possibility blooming within her. Discussions swirled through the crowd, and words exchanged became less combative. She felt Jack's hand squeezing her shoulder reassuringly, and in that moment, she knew they had a chance. Isaura. Laura called, bringing her back to the moment. We need you to explain your vision. Share what this bakery means to us all. Surrounded by faces she recognized, she felt the weight of their hopes and dreams resting on her shoulders. Clearing her throat, she let her love for her bakery spill out, tapping into every ounce of passion she had. This bakery is more than flour, sugar, and yeast. It's a melting pot of our stories. Each loaf, each pastry, is like a chapter in our lives that we can share with one another, Isaura said, voice rising with conviction. It represents community, strength, and resilience. Together, we bake something beautiful, something that connects us. An electrifying energy swept through the crowd, refreshing and inspiring. Some began to nod, others smiled. Hope was transforming the palpable tension into something new. I have ideas. Matteo piped up, enthusiasm shining in his eyes. What if we have a bake-off during the festival? And everyone can bring their favorite recipes. Laughter erupted, mingling with cheers of agreement. Tears of joy pricked at Isaura's eyes. She had started a movement just by sharing her truth, and now it was taking on a life of its own, but as laughter echoed, she caught a glimpse of the angry group retreating, uncertainty shadowing their faces. Trailing behind them was a figure cloaked in darkness, watching intently from the sidelines. Isaura felt a shudder run through her. Who were they? The newfound unity was fragile, and the threat loomed like storm clouds gathering overhead. Could this fragile peace be maintained, or was a greater challenge lying in wait? The air crackled with unspoken tension, and as the discussions flourished around her, Isaura knew the most crucial moments were yet to unfold. Would their efforts withstand the scrutiny of those who would prefer to see the bakery fail? The chatter shifted, excitement buzzing through the air like static electricity. One by one, familiar faces from the community stepped forward, eyes alight with fresh hope. Each had a story about the bakery, a personal thread that connected them to Isaura and her work. It was a shared tapestry, woven from laughter, memories, and delicious aromas that lingered in the air. Remember the time you baked that gigantic cake for the anniversary? Matteo grinned, nudging Laura. Everyone thought you were a wizard. Or the holiday cookies that became our new tradition. Laura added, her voice lifting higher, genuinely surprised at the idea of celebrating each year together just because of one bakery. Laughter bloomed again, replacing the storm clouds of earlier. Hope glimmered in every smile, and as they connected in this moment, Isaura felt her heart swell. This was community. This was resilience. But lingering at the fringes of their joy was a sense of urgency. The cloaked figure still loomed in her mind, casting a shadow. Let us keep it going. Jack's voice cut through her thoughts, strong and uplifting. What's next for the festival? What other ideas do we have? People began to chime in, and ideas flowed like a river. There would be food stalls, local artisans showcasing their goods, and performances that celebrated the rich culture of their neighborhood. Each suggestion turned the tension into a playful buzz, creating a blueprint of unity that seemed to lift spirits higher, but with the joy also came worry. What about the ones who didn't agree? Their anger wasn't gone, it was just hidden beneath the surface. Isaura looked at Jack, who was carefully reading her expression. Let us not get carried away just yet, he murmured, keeping his voice low. We need to address the concerns that haven't been spoken. It's important. Isaura nodded, biting her lip. You're right. We cannot ignore them. We have to reach out. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward again. Hey everyone. I appreciate all the enthusiasm. But we cannot forget about those who didn't feel included before. We need to talk to everyone, those who are unhappy too. A wave of nods acknowledged her intention as she faced the crowd. This festival can't be just ours. It needs to be something everyone feels a part of, something we all can enjoy together. Let's invite them to share their thoughts. The applause that followed was filled with agreement. As more voices began to chime in, Isaura turned to Jack, feeling the weight of something monumental shift inside her. With each moment of openness, she began to understand the true meaning of community. It wasn't just about making sweet treats but forging connections even when it felt difficult, but just as a sense of harmony began to settle, the atmosphere shifted. The cloaked figure, who had slipped into the shadows of the crowd, stepped forward, raising a stark finger. Are you really willing to open your arms to those who wish to tear you down? Isaura's heart dropped. The room fell silent, all eyes drawn to the newcomer, the tension palpable and heavy as the figure captured their attention. What was about to unfold? It felt like she was standing on the edge of a precipice. Could they really face whatever shadow was creeping closer? Fear gripped her, but with that came an exhilarating call. She knew she had to face this challenge head-on. Could she turn this moment into a way to create deeper understanding, or would the effort split the community further apart? The crowd pulsed with a mix of fear and curiosity. Isaura felt her breath catch. The cloaked figure loomed dangerously, a silent accusation hanging in the air like a storm cloud. What do you mean by that? She asked, her voice steady despite the chaos of emotions swirling inside her. No one here wants to tear anyone down. We just want to celebrate our community. The figure's gaze fixed on her, their eyes shining with something impossible to decipher. Are you truly willing to embrace those who have actively opposed your bakery? They stepped closer, their voice low but strong. Those who have spread lies, stoked anger. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a collective intake of breath, a sudden jolt of unease. Isaura's heart raced. She could feel the swell of the crowd pressing a little closer, anxious for clarity, desperate for hope. Every story has different sides, she said, her tone unwavering. I know not everyone agrees with my approach, but I believe in dialogue. Let us invite those voices to the table, as uncomfortable as it may feel. But are you sure they will come? Came a voice from the outskirts, trembling with uncertainty. It was Alina, the quiet woman who rarely spoke but was known for her kind heart. What if they only wished to fight back? Isaura took a step forward, shutting her eyes for a moment, summoning the courage she had found so many times before. We have to try. We can't let fear close us off. This bakery brought us together for a reason, and I believe it can help us heal, too. A silence blanketed the gathering as her words hung in the air. Could they really be that brave? Faces turned to one another, some uncertain, others more resolute. Jack moved beside her, his presence a warm shield against the encroaching tension. Isaura's right. It's the only way we can move forward as one. We owe it to our community. To ourselves. Yes. Matteo shouted, pumping his fist in the air, igniting the spark in others. We can make it a chance for connection. If we invite them, we show we are better than the hate. Encouraged by his spirit, Laura added, we will make it welcoming. We have to open our doors wide. The cloaked figure seemed almost taken aback, confusion flickering across their features. And if they reject you again? Then we don't give up, Isaura answered fiercely. We will listen and learn. This isn't just about our celebrations, it's about being a whole community, embracing all its colors, the strife and the joy. Slowly, nodding heads began to appear. Maybe she had struck a chord after all, yet the figure, still lurking at the edge of the crowd, seemed to shift. You speak of light, but I fear darkness awaits, they warned. From somewhere in the back, a voice called out, then let us shine brighter than it. A wave of courage flowed through Isaura. Let us meet with those who disagree. We can create a festival that everyone can appreciate, perhaps even throw in some town hall debates along with our sourdough and pastries. The crowd erupted into applause, energy swirling back into the room. But even amidst the cheers, Isaura couldn't shake the feeling that shadows still hung on the outskirts, waiting. As she smiled through the warmth of support, she glanced back at the cloaked figure, who still stood quietly, unmoving as if waiting for the perfect moment to rewrite the narrative. Was it truly possible that they could reach everyone? And what would happen when darkness tried to claim its grip once more? The festival could bridge gaps, but how deep would their courage be tested? As the crowd's applause faded, the weight of what lay ahead settled on Isaura's shoulders. She could feel the excitement transforming into anxiety, a familiar dance of emotions she had learned to navigate over the years. A festival could be a beacon of hope, but it also opened doors to uncertainty. As neighbors rallied together, a flicker of doubt sparked within her. Would those who opposed her actually show up? Jack placed a reassuring hand on her back. "We can do this, Isaura. We'll make it a day to remember." His voice was like a warm breeze, cutting through the chill of her apprehensions. "Yes," she whispered, though her heart thudded with unease. She turned to the crowd, searching for encouragement in the faces around her. Their expressions were a mix of enthusiasm and fear. She could sense it. There was a longing for connection but also an undercurrent of hesitation. "We'll start planning right away," she said, trying to project confidence. "We need to reach out. Start with those who've spoken against us. An invitation can hold more power than a shouted insult." Alina stepped forward, her brow creased. What if they don't see it as an invitation? What if they see it as a challenge? Some in the crowd nodded at her concerns while others exchanged looks of determination. The energy was electric, but it felt as though they were juggling fragile hopes balanced on the edge of a cliff. "I'd rather try and fail than never try at all," Isaura asserted, her voice ringing with newfound resolve. "If we don't face our fears, how can we ever break them down? There's more to this community than anger. We have shared history and dreams." Matteo chimed in, "Let's turn our bakery into a hub for dialogue. We can host workshops, story circles, even a bake-off to lighten the mood." Laughter bubbled in the crowd, a welcome sound that felt like sunlight breaking the clouds. It reminded Isaura of the joy that had once filled her bakery. These were the moments she needed to cling to. The cloaked figure had made no move, but Isaura felt their presence more than ever. She glanced over, catching their shadowed gaze fixated on her. What did they see? Merely an idealistic dreamer or something more? A sickly knot tightened in her stomach. "Let's create events where everyone gets a chance to speak," Isaura suggested brightly, though her own nerves obscured the clarity of her vision. "We can showcase everyone's stories, build understanding, and instead of escalating tension, we transform it into connection." A ripple of applause returned, but not all hands clapped. A few faces remained resistant, shrouded in uncertainty. Isaura could sense the challenges lying beneath, waiting behind walls of pride. "Thank you for your courage, Isaura," Laura said, her voice soft but earnest. "We all want to heal, but it's going to take time. We'll need to be honest, even when it hurts. Maybe the key to overcoming darkness is recognizing the raw truth of our experience," Jack added thoughtfully, his eyes scanning the crowd. "And we'll have each other's backs when things get tough." With renewed spirit, Isaura drew a breath, inhaling the lingering scent of baked bread and hope. "Then let us keep that at the forefront. We're here to listen, to share, and to mend." But just then, the cloaked figure stepped forward, cutting through the camaraderie that had begun to solidify. "You speak of healing, yet you forget some wounds can run far too deep. Are you truly prepared for what may rise when shadows are finally exposed?" The crowd grew quiet, a shiver traveling through the assembly. Isaura's heart raced. She had thought they were ready to face the past, but was she truly prepared for what it held? As anxiety settled back in, a dread emerged, bubbling beneath her earlier determination. What if healing meant facing truths that shattered the very foundations of their community? And as the cloaked figure loomed ever closer, Isaura couldn't help but wonder what darkness might the festival awaken. Isaura's heart pounded in her chest as she stared at the cloaked figure. The tension in the air felt thick enough to cut. Everyone in the crowd, once animated and hopeful, was now frozen, their faces a canvas of uncertainty. Was she really ready to dive into this darkness? "What are you saying?" she managed, her voice wavering just a bit. "We can't let fear dictate our future. We have to talk about the things that hurt us." The figure took a step closer, the hood hiding their expression but not the intensity of their words. "You think you can just call everyone together, share stories, and expect healing? Some scars run deeper than words." Isaura felt like they were pulling the threads of her courage apart. But still, she couldn't back down. "Then let us confront those scars. Let us discuss those pains openly. Ignoring them won't make them disappear." The crowd shifted, glances exchanged. Some were nodding slowly, as if her words were unearthing buried feelings. Others looked uneasy, recalling wounds they tried to bury. Jack stepped forward, his stance protective. "What's your name?" he asked the figure, his voice steady. "If you want to challenge our intentions, then let us have a conversation." "What are you afraid of?" "I fear little," the figure replied. "I fear your naivete." At that, a murmur sparked from the crowd, lifting the weight of gloom just slightly. Isaura was emboldened. Fear can be a catalyst for change, but it can also trap us in silence. We can't allow our past to control our future. That's why this festival matters. Because this festival means everything, Matteo echoed, raising his voice. It's not just about fun, it's about connection. It's about showing that we're stronger together, even when we face hard truths. A rumble of agreement surged through the people, the energy crackling to life. Isaura's heart warmed as people began sharing their own resolve, slowly but surely. "Let us remember our shared victories," Laura chimed in, "the compassion we've shown each other, the support in loss. This isn't just about confrontation, it's about love and understanding. We've built a family here." The cloaked figure remained silent, watching as the tide shifted. Isaura's determination grew, bolstered by the presence of her friends and neighbors. "Look around!" Isaura exclaimed, her arms wide as if to embrace the whole crowd. "We can be a tapestry woven together by our experiences, both good and bad. Let us not let the darkness define us. Let it guide us towards the light." As she spoke, she saw nodding heads, smiles forming, and a growing sense of unity. Even some of those who had looked resistant earlier were starting to lean forward, curiosity breaking through their doubt, but the cloaked figure finally flattened their lips, almost as if resisting the weight of change in the atmosphere. "Will you still feel the same when the dark truths are laid bare?" Their voice was lower, almost a whisper, yet it still carried an intensity that made Isaura flinch. "But what if they are the key to our healing?" Isaura countered. "What if we need to see the whole picture to truly move forward?" The figure paused, the faintest glimmer of hesitation crossing their stance. Isaura felt her pulse quicken in anticipation. This was a moment of breakthrough or breakdown. "What's your darkness?" Isaura demanded softly, the weight of her words settling. "What pain holds you back?" Caught in the thrall of the moment, the crowd leaned in, waiting. Would the cloaked figure step forward, revealing the truth that had been buried within them too? Or would they retreat into the shadow, leaving Isaura to face her own fears alone? As silence fell, the question hung heavily in the air. What would it take for them to unearth the fears that bound their community? The cloaked figure shifted slightly, the fabric rustling against their movements. Isaura held her breath, willing them to respond. The crowd, caught in this collective moment of uncertainty, mirrored her anticipation. This was it. Would they finally see a glimpse of the vulnerability that lay beneath the surface? Then, slowly, the figure lowered their hood, revealing a familiar face that sent whispers rippling through the gathered crowd. It was Elena, the quiet artist who had always stood on the periphery, her sketches depicting the beauty and sorrow of their community. Isaura's heart twisted in surprise. "Elena!" she gasped, realization dawning like a warm sunrise over chilly dawn. "It's you." A flicker of emotion crossed Elena's eyes, mingling with a hint of defiance. "Yes, it's me," she replied, her voice stronger than Isaura had expected. "I didn't come here to hide in shadows. I came to remind us all of the darkness that festers when we don't talk." "We want to talk," shouted Matteo, stepping closer, his tone urgent. "We want to understand together." Elena hesitated, glancing at the faces surrounding her. Each was painted with concern and curiosity, a blend of nervous hope filled the air. "You think you're ready?" she challenged, her gaze intense. "What about the shame? The grief?" The crowd responded with murmurs of agreement. It was clear, even to them, that confronting their pains wouldn't be as simple as a few shared stories around a fire. "Life is messy," Laura added, her voice almost a whisper now, "and so are we. But we're united in that messiness, in our struggles." Isaura stepped forward, feeling the weight of every unsaid word backing her up. "We are more than our pain. We're our love, our relationships, our memories. If we face our darkness together, we can create something beautiful from it." Elena's eyes softened slightly. "You speak of beauty, Isaura, but how can we find it if we don't embrace every dark corner of ourselves? You might think the festival is about fun, but it needs to be a sanctuary for truth." With every word, the air seemed to thrum with energy. The crowd was shifting, energizing, coming to life in ways Isaura had only hoped for. People began stepping forward, eager now to share their own truths alongside Elena's. One by one, stories spilled forth, ranging from joyful recollections to heart-wrenching losses. "I lost my sister to addiction," a voice broke through, heavy with emotion. "I've kept it hidden for too long." Another echoed, "A friend betrayed me, and I didn't know how to forgive." As they spoke, Isaura felt a swell of emotions crash around her like waves at the shore. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of relief, not despair. It was happening, their fears were being laid out, raw and open, and with each revelation came the promise of release. Elena listened, her expression shifting as she absorbed the stories. Finally, she shared her truth. "I've struggled with the belief that my art wasn't good enough. I feared sharing it and being laughed at. The pain of a few harsh words once kept me silent, but now, I see the beauty that can come from revealing ourselves." Isaura reached out to take Elena's hand, feeling the warmth radiate between them. "Together, we are stronger. We'll lift each other up." But deeper questions lingered in the air, unspoken yet palpable. Would everyone truly stay to face their shadows? Was their community ready to embrace all that came with healing? As the festival drew near, the darkness that they faced might demand more than they were prepared to give. The bond was palpable, yet the fear of what lay ahead hung over them like an unshakable cloud. The crowd held their breaths, searching for one unified voice, yet it was still only a promise of possibility hanging in the space between conversations. What else would they uncover as they moved forward into the festival, into the heart of healing? Would embracing their shared scars lead to the transformation they craved, or would they be met with resistance stronger than their collective will? The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm orange hue over the festival that had transformed from chaos into a celebration of unity. The joyous sounds of laughter, music, and the sweet smell of cinnamon wafted through the air. Isaura stood side by side with Jack, Matteo, and many familiar faces, taking in the vibrant scene around her. Elena's unveiling had been a catalyst. The vulnerability they all shared had woven an unbreakable thread among them. With every whispered secret of sorrow, every shared experience of pain, they had built a bridge toward understanding. It felt like the weight of their communal heart had been laid bare, illuminating the darkness and replacing it with an incredible sense of togetherness. Isaura watched as children darted between the booths, their faces painted bright, joy spilling over. In the tent where her bakery nestled, she had hosted a community table, inviting others to share their favorite recipes. Laughter mingled with the smell of baked goods, and every smile held the promise of healing. "Isn't it beautiful?" Jack said, his eyes sparkling with pride as he helped a little girl reach for a potential treat from the table. "Yes," Isaura replied softly, her heart full. It really is. We did this together. Jack turned to her, eyes serious yet warm. You faced your fears, and it sparked something incredible. You showed them all what this bakery can be. As they exchanged smiles, the moment felt weighted with hope. But Isaura remembered this wasn't just about one successful event, it was about keeping the lines of communication open. Mateo rushed forward, waving a piece of paper. Mom! Everyone loved my bake-off idea. They want to make it an annual tradition. Her smile widened. Then we'll make it happen. A celebration of all our stories and ideas. The chatter surged around her, people discussing plans for the future festival, excited for what lay ahead. Yet, amidst the joy, a familiar face approached Ella with hesitation. It was Marcus, one of the festival organizers, who previously stood against her vision. I wanted to talk, he said, glancing at the smiling crowd before meeting Isaura's gaze. I was wrong about you and the bakery. This community means more than my pride. I want to help. Isaura's heart soared. She extended her hand. Then let us work together. I accept your apology, and I'm ready to join forces. As they shook hands, a ripple of admiration spread through those nearby. Jack leaned in close, pride radiating from him. Look around, Isaura. You're building something that truly reflects everyone's spirit. In that moment, everything felt right, like the world finally aligned with their values of love and community. It was the first step toward a brighter future, one where darkness revolved into something they could understand, instead of fear. Moving to the center of the festival, Isaura held up her hands to quiet the crowd. Everyone! She called, her voice steady with conviction. They turned to her, eyes glimmering with anticipation. This festival represents more than just celebration. It symbolizes hope, resilience, and connection. Today, we came together to lay the foundation to heal and grow. But this journey doesn't end here. We must keep talking, sharing, embracing each other's stories throughout the year. Cheers erupted, and the energy in the air crackled with exuberance. Isaura felt tears tugging at her heart as her eyes scanned the sea of faces. The shadows from before were gradually melting away. Amid the joyous noise, Elena stepped forward, the weight of courage glowing on her face. I think we can all agree on one thing, this isn't just about the bakery or the festival. It's about all of us. Let us be the change our community needs. With a resounding chorus of agreement, people began sharing plans, ideas, and residual fears, transforming them into a celebration of collaboration. Jack's hand found Isaura's. She latched onto it as they forged through the vibrant crowd, witnessing the beauty of shared humanity around them. In that shared moment, something shifted inside Isaura. The ache of doubt, the fear of what lay ahead, faded. She felt and knew they could rise, stand strong, and build a future that embraced every heart and every dream. This was exactly where she belonged, right in the heart of her community. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in rich colors, laughter echoed like a gentle melody through the gathering, each note precious and strong. Together, they were ready to embrace every challenge, face every shadow, and create a vibrant tapestry of connection that represented not just survival, but thriving. And just as the festival lights twinkled around them, hope ignited in every heart, illuminating the path forward with promise. This was just the beginning. So, now that you've experienced this journey with Isaura, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for stories like these. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending, what resonates with you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread hope and love.